Good evening and welcome back to Mystic Matters. Of course, we are the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce. Good evening, Kristin.
Good evening, Susette.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
So I was with Kristin last week on the show, and she has a different shirt on.
Well, I hope so because it's a week later. But
I know.
You, however, you
had
wore
the same dress on.
I don't know what you were thinking.
Well, listen, it's called wash and dry. All right.
Well, this is one of the new logos. So there's 3 logos for the Mystic Outdoor Art Festival, and designed by Rita Rivera.
Love Rita.
Love and Pop Design.
Love her.
This is a narwhal with the little ship on top.
Yeah,
Mystic Outdoor Art Festival. This shirt is for sale at the Mystic Outdoor Art Festival.
I hope so, because that's fantastic.
That will benefit the Mystic Outdoor Art Festival and the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce.
So usually I start off with the show and I say, Kristin, what's going on? Do we have to tell you?
The Art Festival.
It's the Art Festival. What dates?
Like the Art Festival,
yes,
Susette.
like
August 11th and 12th.
Yeah, here we go.
2018.
Of course. It's
Saturday and Sunday. Yeah. We know what dates it is, like, the day after. Yeah. People are calling, when is it next year?
Yeah. Wow. I used to I love it, and I used to say, when's the wrap up? And I said, I've already wrapped up. I said, I wrapped up. You need to let the staff and the committee, rest a little bit before you wrap up. But anyways, this is how many years?
This is 61 years.
Can you believe that?
Yes.
61
yep.
years.
And
for the
and we are on Main Street. We're on Cottrell Street. We're all over the downtown Mystic area.
We've taken over. We've just really taken over, and it has grown into that 61 years, and some great artists that we have.
Over 225 booths.
Wow. And who do we have for any nonprofits? Do we have any?
We do. We still have the Boy Scouts and the Rotary, and we have some food trucks, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Well,
you need to come. You need
cream
to come
puffs or something.
Yeah. We have cream puffs. If we make it up along the way, it's because you have to come see us.
Yeah.
So then we'll guide you to wherever you have to go. Just want to just a quick shout out also to the police on both the Groton and the Stonington side, who also do a very good job, and our fire department and all our emergency services that stay with us during the whole time at the show. Because without them, it's very important that we do have. Because so many people come into the show, that we have their presence at the show. So we're just going to give a shout out to them.
And MJ Sawchuck.
MJ Sawchuck, who picks up...
It picks up everything, everywhere, all the time. I mean, we love them.
All the time, and it's the middle of the summertime, so we do get food in our barrels, and that causes bees. And
you can call them and be like, hey,
yes,
can you come down here? I mean, that's what I love about them. They're local. They care about the community.
Absolutely.
They're very, very generous.
Yeah,
very sweet. Great.
So anything else before we start right into one of my favorite artists?
No, nothing else.
I'm happy this evening to introduce Joanna Case, who's been Joanna. Welcome.
Thank you.
Joanna and I. So I started Mystic Matters. Okay. So, anyways, it was years ago. We won't get into how long that started, but Joanna is a very good friend of Mystic Matters, and has been on here since she was the Mystic Knowing Library. So I've known Joanna a long time. But her passion, I will tell you, and I have been to her studio, just so you know, has been always her art, and I'm going to let her tell you about that. But Joanna Case, welcome.
Thank you very much. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you.
I want to let you know, she's been at the art festival how long now?
24 years.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, I had a list of people that were local, and Joanna was one of the first ones to respond. But 24 years, that's wonderful.
Yes, and we were, that was the first year that they let crafts in.
Yes.
And before that, Hazel Ross started a craft show at Factory Square in 81.
Yeah.
And so I called her up and I took my pots and put them in a box, went over to her house, put them all out on my the hood of my car, and that was the jurying.
Some of those are the days. I sort of like those days now. Because during now you have to have great eyesight and a couple pairs of glasses to go through all the artwork that we jury in for this show. But that's great history.
So when you say pots, so you do pottery.
Pottery, yes. Although now we're more clay art now than pottery.
Now, is there a difference between ceramics and clay and pottery?
Well, there's a difference between pottery and clay art. Pottery is functional, and clay art is decorative. We're shifting from the pottery, which is high fire, and you can, you've bought a lot of that, bowls and that type of thing.
Yes.
And we're shifting over now into doing raku firing.
What does that mean? Did you say raccoon? Was that?
She said raku firing?
Raku, R-A-K-U.
Okay.
It's in an outside kiln. Ours is a beehive, and it's got a portal in there to put a big propane torch through.
Right.
And then we have a 55-gallon drum that we've cut the bottom off and cut a door in. So you put your pots in there. You can only do about 4 or 5 at a time. And what you do is you heat it up quickly. We'll get up to about 1,100 degrees maybe in 30 minutes. And then the fun starts, because then you play with the pots afterwards. But the process the pots will never hold water because you don't fire them high enough, and you don't put the glass glaze on the surface.
Okay. So
we should look at some pictures of these now before we keep going.
Yeah. Let's look at some of the pictures first, because I have questions. Oh my gosh, how beautiful is that? Okay, so Joanna, take us through this.
Okay, this is sagger firing, and what we do is the blue has a cobalt wash put on it. Or I should start at the very beginning. Every pot that we do now, we have to put a substance called terra sigillata on. And what it is fine clay that you polish. So it gives it a good sheen, and it also is a carbon absorber. So then what we do is we put a cobalt wash on if we want to get blue, and we put a ferric chloride wash on if we want to get the oranges. The black on there is copper wire. So you attach the copper wire to it, and then what you do is you take aluminum foil, a long sheet of it, crinkle it all up, spread it back out so you've got all the little nooks and crannies.
Yeah.
And what you do is you put salt in there, you put sawdust in there, you can put root killer, which is actually copper sulfate, in there, and you wrap it all up in its own little cocoon. You heat it up until the aluminum foil is just about ready to disintegrate. And sometime in the middle there, all of those minerals and everything all fume. And because the pot has that carbon absorber on it, the pot absorbs the color.
I understand that a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I just a little bit. I mean, only because when you come to working with the platinums and the silvers and the coppers and the things that, anytime you work with metal, so I understand the process a little bit. But my question is, Joanna, so you never know what you're going to get.
You don't. It's a surprise
Really?
every time.
Yeah.
Yes,
So that's what I think this is so exciting.
it is.
Now, are you taught this? Is this something you have to apprentice for, or is it like a magic trick that's passed down from one generation to another?
Good question, Kristin.
Well, actually, we've done 3 workshops. We saw this out in the Southwest and thought, oh, that's great. We really want to try this. It's not this, not the sagger fires, but the horsehair.
Yep.
We saw the horsehair out in the Southwest and thought, oh, we want to try this.
Now, do you have a picture of the horsehair?
It'll be coming up.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we came back and we had a intensive weekend workshop with Tim Skull at Canton Clay Works. But we didn't prepare ourselves and have pots left at home to do, to try right away when we got back. So after we didn't do it, and then for 2 years we decided to try it, and we couldn't remember anything, all the notes and stuff.
Gosh.
So then we went and had a week-long class with Bob Green, part of Mass Arts up at Bennington College, and we did more of this. This was a whole week where we threw as well as decorated and fired. And then 3 years ago, we hit the jackpot. We had a 1-week workshop with the gurus of alternative firing, Charlie and Linda Riggs.
Wow.
And they were so open about explaining the processes and encouraging you to try different things. And the resident potter was supposed to be firing the second kiln, and he decided that wasn't, of interest to him, and so Les volunteered to do it. So it was wonderful because it struck one of the Riggses was standing at his shoulder saying
All the time.
all
This
the
is
time
what you're
saying,
doing.
you
Yeah.
know, I want you to go up so many degrees in this many seconds, and then you hold it here and you do that. So he did 8 kilns, and that really kind of imprinted it. And of course, I was taking notes the whole time too.
Yeah, yeah.
But and we came home and we had 60 pots waiting for us. And so what we did was we fired 11 kilns in the week following that workshop in order to make sure we could do it on our own
Yeah,
equipment.
yeah, because that's the telltale.
Yes.
To see if you can. Yes,
Yeah.
I understand that
Right.
process.
So how did you get into this? Like you know, because you know the name Riggs, and this is something to be worshipped. So how long have you been doing this? And you say we. Who's we?
Les Olin,
Oh, okay. All these questions I have.
my partner,
Okay.
he and I started doing pottery in the late 70s.
Yeah, yeah.
And went to a couple of workshops, decided this is what we wanted to do. And so we started the business, Pottery Shed, in 1977, and built a studio, have been doing shows since then.
Yeah, I remember, yeah.
So lots of experience.
Wonderful.
So we have this.
Wonderful.
Okay, this is regular raku. And
Okay.
in regular raku, what you do is you put a glaze on it that's going to crack and fill with smoke. So to have a blue
Tint, yeah.
tint, yep. And then the other one without one has just the white on it. And what you do is you heat it up to about 1100 degrees. You take it out, you put it in a pile of sawdust with a little bit of shredded paper on it so it starts a fire. And then you put a cap on it. So it's just the smoky atmosphere. And what the smoke does, the thermal shock has cracked the glaze, and the
Yep.
smoke goes in the cracks and colors the clay. So
Yep.
that's why you get the black cracking.
So I mean, is this like an ancient tradition, or is this like an experiment? How does that happen?
No,
how do
no.
people learn how to do this kind of thing?
It goes way back to the Japanese
Yeah.
and the Southwest
Yeah,
Indians, where they would highly polish a pot and put it in. Usually, it was in dung, and they would they'd start it on fire and it would just smolder for the whole time. And that the Southwest ones that are the real shiny black, it's done the
Same way, yeah. Now these, and again,
Okay.
we've moved over to sort of the decorative.
Well, we're back now to the functional.
Right, this is, but
This is high fire.
the previous ones were more,
They were the decorative.
Right.
Because of the cracks. That
Yes.
it
can't
won't
put them in
hold
water. Yeah,
Right.
so what do we have here?
What we have here are high fire. I started out doing totems so that they just stood there and had them down at Puffin's. And she said, oh, you need to make them functional. So they're now bells. They have no bottom and they've got a clanker in there. And
Well, absolutely you need to make them bells. I mean, of course because we use bells.
that's right. You don't use a totem.
You don't, I mean,
when do you use a
when
bell?
do you use a bell? I'm
Like at
just
5
wondering.
o'clock.
Yeah.
5 o'clock times.
I'm not quite sure about that, but thank you very much. That's beautiful. And then we have the next, those two little.
This is
oh,
the
this is
horsehair.
yeah.
This is the horsehair.
Yeah.
And then this one,
This is a gorgeous. These are gorgeous.
Why is it called horsehair? Do you actually use horsehair?
the mane
Mane,
or
yeah.
the tail hair.
Yeah.
And what you do is you've
Yes, so the answer is yes. You do use horsehair?
excuse me?
You do
Yeah.
actually use horsehair?
Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
That's actually
Yeah, that's horsehair.
You take the pot out at
Yeah.
about 900 degrees and you just lay the hair down on it.
Yeah.
And it frizzles and burns into it, and the gray areas near them is actually the smoke of the hair burning. But
And you get what you get.
did you get? Yeah, you have
know,
an
'cause
idea.
that's the-
You've got something in mind, like the plate, and wanted a landscape. But
Yeah. You get what you get.
You get
yeah.
what you get.
So this is a nice little series here.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
Do you have
I'll tell you.
rejects? Like, are you ever like, no, that was not good? Do you ever do that, or yeah?
Occasionally, yeah. And but sometimes you can put it back in and try again, but usually it breaks.
Yep.
So you take what you get or not.
Yep.
And this was us last year at the Outdoor Art Festival.
Always one of the prettiest booths and displays in the art festival. And the same booth, I will tell you.
Yes.
That I know too.
Yes.
And as we map, that's
that
usually
Cottrell?
that's
Yes,
Cottrell.
we're in front of Mystic Gem.
Yeah,
And have been
always for
Yeah.
20.
Yeah,
something.
24 years.
Yeah. She got moved almost once, and we said,
once.
I was like, who did that map? Remember that, Joanna?
I
Like,
do remember that.
Whoa,
That was a bad year,
That was a
bad
bad year. Well, and then when it got to me, though, you know what I mean? I said, you need to, no, that doesn't happen.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just stunned at how
Look
much
at this.
it takes to do this. I mean, of course, I've seen like a wheel, right? Like I've seen the wheel, and I thought like painting.
No.
Oh,
No.
Incredible.
No, it's an incredible studio. So we have another part of that series.
Yes, now this is called, Les calls it pop-off raku. I've always known it as naked raku. And what you do is you put a slip on the pot, and then you put a glaze on. And the glaze is to hold the slip on the pot. Like a regular raku, you take it up to about 1100 degrees, you take it out, and you put it in the sawdust. Again, start the fire, put the cap on, so you've just got smoke.
Right, and this is the effect.
Right,
That-
and so the glaze cracks because it's of the thermal shock and lets the smoke in. But what you do on this one is after it's smoked for 5 minutes, you take it out, put it on the grass, and turn the hose on it. And that whole glaze and slip thing pops off. That's why it's called pop-off raku.
Oh.
And it's left with the smoke-painted pots.
Now, how do you choose what kind of material you start with? Like, do you say, oh, let's order some of this from Turkey, or
No, we use the same clay. It's all a white stoneware that's had grog put in it, which is ground up clay, so that it can take the thermal shock. The big decision is when we throw all winter, and so the big decision is what are you going to do when you go out to throw? Les likes to do series of things. Where
Yes, that's his thing. Yeah,
yes.
and you can almost see it.
Yeah.
Well, you do see it because the way that they arrange it, that Les does these, particular series.
I like to play. I'd rather.
Yeah, you're on the other side, which is a very good combination.
It is.
Because it works. Now, I will tell you, and I know this for a fact because I'm a customer also. You have your following, and you have customers that come back year after year after year. How are they opened up to this new type of art that you're doing?
It's very well received.
Good.
We've been moving it in slowly but surely, and and doing both types of clay, or the pieces have been from both methods, and it has been well received. People recognize the raku, and they're starting to recognize the horsehair. Those that have traveled, I think mostly those, and nobody around here does the sagger firing or the naked.
So your customers that come, do they do a collection or do they just buy random?
I don't know. They'll come and they'll tell us, "Oh, I bought something last year." And
I know because I was on this big kick for. I would go just specifically just to buy a lot of wedding gifts. Was a thing, but then I started really with the mugs that I still have, and I just kept getting these mugs. So I have a mug rack that's just got Joanna. So
I can see how you could get obsessed with it.
You can get obsessed,
and the way that it just appears, like you never know what you're going to get.
Right,
and like we were talking about, the whole idea behind the artistry is that it speaks to somebody.
Right.
I love that. Now, when somebody says, you've been doing this since the 70s, so what's the name of your studio?
It's the name of the business is Pottery Shed, but we are also doing business as Mystic Clay Art, because when you apply to some shows, they don't take pottery.
Right.
But they will take the clay art the alternative fire, because it is decorative.
Right.
And non-functional.
So people will say, oh, well, I have one of these. I have a Mystic Pottery Shed. Like people say, but do they use your names too? Like they say, I have a case. Like this mug is a case.
Well, that is true, because we're saying, well, it's a little bit, like I think for the locals, I would talk to some of my friends, Eric Janney, for instance, I'll say, well, I mean, he'll notice that I have something. That's got to be Joanna case, unless I'm like.
Right.
So the locals
Yeah.
that know their work,
Right.
and if they come to your house, they just know it,
Right.
And some of the artwork from the local artists will come, if you're in their houses, they'll say, you got that from the art festival, that's from so-and-so. You got that from the art festival, that's from so-and-so. So I think you're very well known in this area, but I think you've also come out of this area too.
We have.
Where so I guess that comes to a point where do you get special orders?
We don't take special orders. That's too much like work.
I love that. I love that.
Well, if we took one, and for a special order of a stoneware high-fired pot about that big, and it was supposed to be that round, and they wanted to bring their chefalera in the winter and put it in there.
What's a chefalera? What do you?
Oh, it's a mother-in-law's tongue, a plant.
Oh, plant. Okay.
It's a plant. I know it as a plant.
I'm like, it's a
Yeah.
tongue?
No, it's a.
I'm learning so much on this show.
And that's what's great. That's what's great. Yeah.
But it ended up, it took two of us to do it because we had to roll out the slab, and the slab roller wasn't big enough to get the width we needed, so we had to meld two slabs together. And then when you hand build from the slabs, you have to be very careful to let it almost get leather hard, but not quite, when you want to fold it. If you've waited too long, it'll crack and crinkle.
Right.
If you do it too soon, you get all your thumbprints and everything else in
Right.
there, and it warps. So it took two of us, and we had to go out and buy a stovepipe and wrap it with bubble wrap, and then wax paper in order to have a form to roll this on and to hold it. And you have to put the extra two things in because once it can stand on its own, you take the stovepipe out, and then the wax paper allows you to take it away from the clay. Wow. So we worked on that, and we decided we better make two,
Yeah.
because what if something happens to one?
Right.
And
Wow.
So, but it's a lot of work, and no, I'd rather go out. It's my retirement.
Yes, sure.
And I want to go out and
have fun.
have
Well,
fun.
it's kind of the same. Chuck is very well known as a designer in his craft, and of course we do have a business. But people will say, "Well, why don't you open up another?" No,
Right. Yeah.
because we like what we do, and we're in charge of our own destiny. And Chuck is a creator and a designer, and what he makes is what he makes, and he won't make another one. Typically, he won't make another unless we have some permission from the customer. But he says once it becomes, and I'll just give you, for instance, to solder a chain, he does that, and that's okay. But if you came in to ask, and we're creating something, that's a whole different level.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean? And you can understand that. So I do have a question, Joanna. When a person comes in, when you're selling your pieces, do you get to tell your story, or are they just looking for a particular, or is it a little bit of both?
Oh, I always tell a story.
There's a story.
But that's great.
So we did. We've got especially now that we've done 3 shows where we've just had the new alternative fire, and so they come up and they look at it and they say, "Whoa, what is that?" And so then you just go through your spiel and tell them all.
Yeah.
And then the people come around and she's
They
telling
listen.
how did they do it?
Yeah, how they do it. Yeah.
And really draws them in to see it.
So will you at some point continue to move this direction?
Yes.
Yeah. And so stop that other form of
Right.
Artwork and then go to this
Yes.
form of and why? Because you're more creative now? You got tired of doing that?
Well, we did it for a long time. It had a
Yes.
good run,
Yes,
and
a
we
very
had a lot
big
of fun
run.
with it. But it was time for a change. We both felt that we were getting a little stale, and this is all new. And every kiln you open up, it's a surprise, and you can do it.
I can see the passion now. It's exciting.
It is
Once again, you've always been excited about your work,
Right.
but it's exciting.
Can we look at the pictures again? Would you mind? Like, for
Yeah, just a real
another
quick
minute,
Frank, just to
see what
go
we're
through it
talking about?
again. He's trying to set it up
I especially
again.
want to see that. Sorry, Frank.
Oh, you don't want to see that. I know. You're going to see that. But some of the art.
Yeah, next one.
Well, in the
Hi.
hi.
No?
Thank you. Oh, well, he took him out. He took him out.
You're
but
gonna have to come to the show.
We love Frank, but
see.
you have to come to the show. It's just going to be just a fantastic show.
And meet Joanna.
And meet Joanna. You know, she has been in shows where it's stormy, awful hot. You will see her once in a while with her hat on. She's with her hat on. And,
Is that made of horsehair too, or
No. We just have a few minutes. Joanna, tell us your favorite part of your show, you and Les.
It's seeing people.
Yeah.
It really is. And seeing the locals. I was at the library for 35 years, and now I just volunteer there. I've been retired for 10 years. And so many of them come through and just stop to say hello, and it's really wonderful.
There we go. Frank, you're just
You're
crazy.
the
Okay.
best.
We'll leave the last few minutes just to go through some of the. Now, okay, I do have to. Okay, I have to say something here because these pieces are just beautiful.
Thank you.
And the color is so. I know they're decorative, but you could put something in it.
Or you could put dried flowers or things, or
a mother's tongue you could put in there.
You can put a mother's. Well, no, mother's tongue is. Yeah, she's got to see the mother's tongue. Okay.
We suggest if people want to use them for vases, is to just put a jar in it, or a glass. You know, something in there that can hold water.
Right. The only thing is, I'm looking at that second one, the right in the middle. I just think of throwing change in there for some reason. You know what I mean?
Why not?
You know, what I mean? You could use so. But this collection is, tell us, just
Stunning.
absolutely gorgeous.
I will.
And then you can continue on there.
I
Tried
like
and
these.
true.
I like the
I like the
bells.
bells. The idea of the bells, and so we're going to wrap it up anyways. But this is Frank. Thank you. Okay.
There's the horsehair.
There's the horsehair.
Do you love that or what?
I do, yes. Yeah. We also put little bits of sugar on it and makes black dots. And then I've started putting feathers.
Come on.
You take the down feathers and you just lay them down very carefully, and they'll burn in, or they'll all crunch up and be an awful blob.
That sounds
my
like
God.
fun,
That's
isn't
neat.
it?
Yeah.
Oh my God! And that collection.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That is just so gorgeous. I can see that on the fireplace. I can see that right on a table.
Where's the top come from? Is that something else? Or?
That's made separately, and then it's also just stuck in the sawdust and allowed to just smolder in the sawdust. So it's
So it's still part of the process.
oh yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
you're.
all of them are thrown the same way you do for any kind of pottery on the wheel or hand build, and then it's just what we're changing is the method of firing.
Okay.
I love this cooperation with nature. You know, that's really brave, I think.
I love the fact that I think that's absolutely, but I like the fact that Joanna and Les have also just continue on. We go in life, and it's just sometimes you just do what you do every day, but there's also that more artistic and a newer way of doing things. So, anyways, we are talking about the Mystic Outdoor Art Festival on August 11th and 12th, and of course we have with us Joanna Case. She will be on Cottrell Street. She's been there 24 years, so come and see us there. And Kristin, of course, I'll see you there for a little while. I hope to show up my face a little bit, but if they throw a T-shirt on me, it's going to happen, okay? But we are the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce, and of course, Mystic Matters. Happy to work with the Franks and Franks here. Very, very excited that for our continuance in our partnership. Kristin, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Joanna, I will see you, and Les, and stop by and say hello to her booth as well. Good evening. We are the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.